All right, I think we are live again. So, welcome back. We're again just deconstructing Bootstrap. We're trying to figure out the best ways to kind of automate some of our CSS. And I wanted to start off with kind of wrapping up one of the things I got tripped up on in the last couple of live streams, it feels like, is this whole prefix thing. We saw a couple of examples like, let's see. Like in the buttons, I believe, and of course I've already closed those. So hold on, let me grab the buttons. Let's see, where'd it go? Okay, right here. So I was getting tripped up on what this prefix means, and I finally found it. I've already revealed that to you, but basically we're printing out a prefix kind of like if we were creating our own, we want to make sure that our styles don't conflict with maybe another brand's or a third party, or maybe you're creating a product that should be used embedded in other sites. That would be a good reason to have a prefix. So it allows you to basically define all of these. What they're doing in this case is defining their variables with the BS for Bootstrap prefix, and then they don't have to type it in over and over again all the time. And the way that we found this is in the variables SCSS file. They've got this little prefix defined, and it's set as variable prefix, which is right above it, which is BS for Bootstrap, not for something else. So we have that kind of wrapped up so that I'm not tripping over myself. So yeah, basically whenever we see this in the Bootstrap, in the deep stuff of Bootstrap, it's just adding that branded prefix, which is actually kind of nice, and it's a nice idea for me to figure out when we need to use this. For me, again, like I said, if we're going to embed something in another site and we're worried about, making sure that we're not messing up their style sheets, and we also want to make sure that ours don't get messed up either when they collide, we can use prefixes to kind of help with that. And this is just one way to make it really easy to not have to type it in, like I said, over and over. So we just remember, hey, we've got our variable prefix. That means if it's really long, then I don't have to remember what it is, and whatever. If it changes, that also updates the entire system, which is pretty nice. So let's go to our actual stuff for the day. And I was thinking about modals. I've been needing to use modals a lot more lately, and just as an example of what this looks like, let's jump onto our little site here. We've got two buttons on this left column, and if I choose the info modal, we've got something that pops over, and then of course we have a form modal where we're trying to get somebody to like download a PDF or something. You're supposed to fill in your email, fill in your name, whatever it is, and submit that, and then you're good to go. So let's take a look. I mean, first of all, this is kind of a more interesting layout, and it's supposed to rearrange itself. Oops, closed out. Like for example, if I zoom in here to emulate a mobile screen, we can see that it rearranges, so it's no longer so horizontally focused. It's stacked with the image on top there. Not ideal, and there's still some things that are kind of missing from that just got it kind of, I don't know, messed up. So we can fix a couple of those things, and then if you expand back out to your desktop mode, then you can see this form with the asset that you want to download on the left and the form on the right. And then of course we also have this info modal, which if we had a brand, with this site, it already looks kind of out of brand because it's kind of different than that other fancier one. So I want to explore maybe some ways to clean up the code, maybe figure out a way to make these a little bit more cohesive as well. So let's jump right into the code here, and I'll just let you know this is all the HTML. So basically we've got our form modal with the ID of form modal, so that has a little bit of different setup with like our buttons and the form and everything. And then up here we've got another modal that is the info modal ID, and that just has straight up your most basic Bootstrap header of the modal, body, and footer, and it's just text. So the other one gets a little bit more complicated, but this matches this pre-existing style sheet that I'm trying to kind of fix up and make more efficient, I guess. So we can see right off the bat, I'm already kind of classifying what type of modal this is. So if it's a downloadable one where it's promoting a download, then it's going to have this extra class on top of it. Whereas the straight up info modal, not going to have that. So that's why all of this stuff is actually only impacting that fancier modal where we've got the form here. And that's part of the reason why these two look so different, is because I'm really only impacting this specific modal. So I do kind of like that anyway, just because I feel like that's an easy way to kind of add a little bit of variant to your modal without having to go, I'm not a big fan of BEM and some of the other naming frameworks. I feel like it's worked really well for me, at least with marketing websites. And I know that there's different, schools of thoughts around this, but I'm calling it is a modal, so it has that baked in functionality and that kind of like experience that we expect. But then I'm also saying, this is a special type. And so download is going to be a class that I don't ever really do on its own. So I'm never going to have, in the CSS, have something that just says download, because download might be added to a button or to a whole bunch of things. So I'm kind of namespacing the modal, I guess, in a way, and so that's just kind of one of the things I've been playing with lately as far as naming. So just hoping that gives you a little context. So let's look at, first of all, we're already using pretty good use case for those mix-ins with Bootstrap. This is the standard Bootstrap media query. So I'm kind of defining the max width for how wide this should be at certain breakpoints, the medium and the large. And so you can see it's already taken care of there. So I think that's good to keep on. And then modal content is, let me just double check this, but I believe that's my special addition. So in the, yeah, right, okay. Content, modal content. Oh, okay, so that's actually just Bootstrap. So modal content would be the entire modal basically that you see. So I believe that does that have the background color on there too? I don't know. Right now I'm just using it as kind of like a catch-all, but it does, yeah. So I am using this. Let me just double check what I'm doing here. So if I change this to maybe color secondary, I just want to make sure that this is actually what I'm thinking. Nope, it's not. So, okay. We'll just leave that there for a second. Let me just get my bearings here. So modal content, that's kind of like all the stuff. Flex direction. Oh, okay. Where am I doing my modal content here? Oops. Okay. Oh, so that's what I did. Okay. Sorry about that. So, yeah, what I've done here is modal content would be the entire modal underneath, the dialogue. So it's like basically the container for the entire thing, the picture on the left and the form. And then I have a class of modal media, which I have overridden to basically act as though it were a column in Bootstrap. And then also the Modal Form is also doing the same kind of thing as Modal Media. So I've turned those into basically columns, kind of like a column from Bootstrap. And then those contain the meat of everything. And yeah, I put that around. Okay. Okay, so I'm also including in Modal Form the download title up top here, and then the PDF title, and then also modal body would be inclusive of the form itself. So not the best naming, but there we go. So basically just the right column is just all of that, including even the close button at the top right. So that might be important to remember as well. Anyway, so that's our structure here. Let's take a look and see if there's anything that we can immediately take out. First of all, I'm a little bit skeptical of this. Like, why are we redefining our button primary and all of this stuff? Partially because, first of all, we already did that in our last live stream. But also, it just seems kind of weird. I wonder if I can just straight up take it out and see what this does here. Refresh. We don't actually have an anchor tag in there. Yeah, let's just throw one in just to see what happens here, because I'm curious what this is. Modal content with an anchor tag. Where's our modal content? Right here. So maybe if we had, like, I don't know, maybe we do have like a little paragraph saying, you know, sign up, and then here's like a, I don't know, oh, you know what, it probably was for like a privacy policy thing. Privacy standards, I don't know. We can just make something up here, href equals hash, and then do we need anything else? Yeah, I think that's it. So let's see what that did to. Okay, so we just have, you know, basic looking link here, but if I uncomment, let me just uncomment out what I did before, and I'll refresh just so we can see. Okay, so what it basically did is turn it to our primary color, which is black in this case. Kind of interesting. I think that is definitely something to be wary of. I think I need to actually pull this one out. So I'm going to comment it out because I think this needs to be addressed in another, you know, a totally separate section of the code where it takes care of anchor links or you just basically your links, your buttons, all of that stuff should probably be grouped together. So that might be something we come back to, but I'm just going to comment that out for right now. And then let's keep on moving here. Okay, so I'm seeing there's a lot of these flex direction kind of things, and then let's see. And here's how we treat the media left column there. And then we have some media queries. So it's not like overly complicated, but we definitely have a lot of opportunities, I think, to maybe clear up some of these. So maybe what we do in this case is we actually create a mixin that takes care of our modal columns, basically. Like, let's see, let me just make sure, because we really don't need this everywhere. Like, and I wonder if we can even add in some. Okay, so modal header. Let me see if here's another flex direction column. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll. All right, so basically, let me see if I can figure out what I'm doing here, because there's a lot of columns involved, and I think it's because, so I want, what's it? I do know that part of the reason for this is so that when we go responsive, so if I'm going down to like a mobile size, I do want them to stack. And so right now I have the modal content, the entire modal that you see, this white part. This is going from a flex direction of row, which is the horizontal right here. And then once we hit that breakpoint, we go to that stacked, which is the flex direction of column. So that is why at least that specific one is called out. But all of the other ones aren't changing on a responsive, with any kind of responsive experience or when those sizes are reached. So I think, yeah, really interesting. And okay, so, and there is one more thing that maybe we can take care of with this mix-in, is that it's kind of hard to see, but there's actually a black border on the left side of this dialog. So we go from this black on the left as like the background color, and then it shrinks down to be the left border of this modal here. So let's go back here and let's define a mix-in that is our basic, like, I don't know, our modal column, I guess. I don't know that we need any parameters just yet, but we do know that it's pretty much going to be this display of flex and flex direction. Like that's going to be our bread and butter. So for right now, I'm going to replace that with include our modal column, and I'll copy that down anywhere that I see. Yeah, so modal header no longer needs that. Modal form, and I think that's all of them. So I wonder if there's anything else that we can do. I do notice that, okay, so the border here, yeah, I guess this is where I'm getting, because there is a lot of repetitive code, but at the same time, it's like, is it really necessary to make this a mix-in? Well, let us see. Yeah, we got our close button. That's not super repetitive. But yeah, I think what we need to do is, because the other goal with this, of course, is to be able to kind of translate this onto our other info modal. So let me just go look at that really fast and see what we can do here. So let's say we actually we want all of our modals, regardless of what they do, to have kind of that dual column feel. So we'll have another modal, what do I call it? Modal media. And then we'll have the actual modal, was it body? Let's just see what that does here. Let me make sure that's the right, yeah, modal body. Yeah. So let's see what happens when we switch on over to this. Okay, so actually, and the other thing is I don't have anything in there right now. So let's grab this image and we'll put it in the modal body, modal media. Let's see what this does here. Okay, so yeah, right now it's stacking it, and if I zoom out, we are still stacked. Okay, because we have not taken care of all of our modals. So if we just do like our base modal, we're gonna want our we're gonna want to copy some of this. Oops. And you can't see that. All right, so I'm copying over some of the CSS structures that we've already got, and then we're gonna want to be able to do our flex direction of column on this specific, you know, modal content, as well as the modal media. And this might be interesting, actually. Let's see what this does here. So if I go back here, refresh. Okay, so we're still not quite seeing that, and that's probably because I have not quite. Oh, and also, yeah, I didn't do modal body. I believe I needed that. So if we go and modal body, and then we'll just copy this down there, save, switch over here, and we're still not seeing that because why? Display of flex direction is column. Info modal, where's my... Oh, you know what? This is incorrect. I think this is, this needs to be content. No. Oh, what have I done? Okay, so modal header, that's a, okay, so I'm kind of messing up my own HTML structure here. So if we look at here, we've got content with the media and then the form. So what we want to do is actually have, okay, so that's kind of why is I'm this is definitely kind of messy. Modal content is the Bootstrap, you know, that's just how it is. And then this is my own adaptation to add that second column. And then modal form was kind of my wrapper for that form. So what I want to do is, we're already in content. We have a header. Do I want to take that out? Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. That's kind of the hard thing when you start messing around with stuff like this is I was trying to be so smart about it, and then it's like, well, what do you call all of these pieces? Because I'm trying too hard to make them semantically, you know, informative, I guess. But then it's like, okay, what's the difference between modal content and modal body? Because I was trying to make this so that the media, so yeah, trying to make it so body just meant like just your text stuff, and then media obviously is for like maybe it's a video or an image or something, and makes it kind of tricky. So okay, well now we have like our full width image there. All right, so let's check out the CSS and see. We now know that our modal content is the wrapper, and that does include the header right now, and then also the media and the modal body. So we might actually need our own little modal row here just to separate these guys. let me just make sure that didn't do anything. Okay. Now let's go back here. We have a modal row now, and modal row, and we want to make this a display of flex, and we're also going to do, well, flex direction is already row by default. And if we go back, we can see now it is working because we finally we finally made it into a row. All right, so that was kind of, I don't love that approach. I don't love having to add extra HTML every time we want to do a certain type of layout. So I'll have to give that some thought, and yeah, we'll revisit that just a little bit. But for right now, at least, we've got our 2 columns here. They are not stacking right now at the same place as our other modal right here. Yeah, you know what? I'm not in love with what we've done here. So I guess this is a good this is kind of a good exercise in kind of understanding when it's necessary. Just because you do have a bunch of repeated lines of code does not necessarily mean a mix-in is warranted. But we can also but I guess the big thing would be to include kind of that responsive nature. So at least, yeah, I guess it's more important for mix-ins to be able to capture complexity that is repetitive, rather than just repeating it or capturing that repetition just to clean up, 3 lines of CSS. So what I mean by that is, right now we're not doing very much with this. It's almost the same to just, by including this 1 line, it's almost the same as just making it readable by adding these 2 in there. And in fact, some of them didn't even need it because they were already flex objects or elements. So yeah, if you got any tips for, like, I don't know, the mental model of how you decide to make something a mix-in. Obviously, I'm still struggling with this, so thanks for sticking with me if you are still here all the way to this part of the video. But yeah, I just feel like it felt like this was actually worse than it was, I guess is what I'm saying. and maybe it's really more about redefining the HTML structure before you go into mix-ins. This is already a little bit clunky just because there's so many different like layers, nested layers with things, and yeah, I'm just not very pleased with that, with what we've done today, with what I've done today. So hopefully though you still see some value in going through this exercise with me, and we can, this is what not to do. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's how you learn, right? Is failing. And there you go. We got to fail, or you got to watch me fail. So this is your fail video for the morning. But yeah, I'm still looking for those the right application for mix-ins. So what I'm learning now, again, just to recap, sum all this up, don't do mix-ins just because you want to get rid of 2 lines of CSS. There needs to be a reason for it, and ideally that reason is to combine several moving parts, right? I mean, with this switching from row to column is not a complex thing. We've already got the breakpoints that Bootstrap has already provided us with for that complexity of when the screen size shrinks or enlarges. So yeah, this was a great experiment to just be like, okay, chill. And just just wait. Like, yeah, wait to use this. It's not a solution for everything, not magical. So thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on the next one. Hopefully it will be a lot more insightful, and we won't waste so much time doing something that ultimately we abandoned.